Florida has officially made it illegal to get an abortion after 6 weeks. Any violators will face a third-degree felony. Before the ban, Florida had been a refuge for abortion access in the South after the overturn of Roe versus Wade. So many of the states that people were going to Florida, that's the one state they could go to. Outside of that, they got to start going much further up north or farther west. What is your take on this ban, Armand? What do you think about this?
I just think it's dangerous because you're forcing people to have children that are not ready. You know, some people may not want children. Then you're going to have a lot of kids being put up for adoption, or a lot of women going on cruises and leaving their kids at home, right? Those stories that we cover. A lot of people are not ready for kids, and sometimes people make mistakes, or sometimes people get put in compromising positions and they end up pregnant. They shouldn't be forced to, have those kids, because unfortunately the kids won't actually have a good life because they're with parents that aren't really ready to have children.
All right. Al, what do you think?
I think this should be in my segment, Where's the Outrage? Jeez, where's Florida? You guys are just making it harder and harder and harder for marginalized communities, especially women of color, especially people from low-income areas. How dare you try to tell a woman what to do with her body and her reproductive health and rights? I find that just humiliating, and I don't understand why more people aren't protesting this like we protested in the war across the water. I just don't get it. This will be increased risk to people doing abortions on their own. This can become a public health issue. There's so much trauma surrounding this law that I just don't understand that why more people are not in outrage over this. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Claudia. You're the politician here, and you're also a woman, and they're telling other women what to do with their bodies. What are your thoughts?
I will say this, there is outrage. Kamala Harris was out there on the stump today, and she was talking about it, and she's definitely been, throwing her hat into the ring about how much she wants to protect the rights of women as much as she can. She is VP, she's not the president, and she's not Congress. I will say this. I know a lot of times the conversation goes to the extreme. Well, what if someone's raped or molested? It doesn't even have to be that. Like Armand said, what if someone's not ready? And then also, I need people to really consider this. To me, this is the scariest part of all this. Women that have like real medical issues, that have a child that's not going to be okay. Okay, they're carrying a fetus that's not going to be okay. And they're being forced to carry this dying fetus inside of them, risking the mother's life, risking all kinds of infections. I had a friend that had an ectopic pregnancy. That's when the fetus is developing in the ovarian, in her ovaries. I'm sorry, in the fallopian tubes. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart for a second. And what happens is the baby is not supposed to be developing there. So as it grows, it can make that fallopian tube burst and you can die. And it's extremely painful. When this happens, a lot of times the only remedy for this is to get a D&C, an abortion. And she had to wait for lawyers to contact the doctors, to contact the lawyers, while she's sitting there in agony, hoping that her fallopian tube doesn't burst and she doesn't die. This is the reality of it's going to happen. Now, couple that with back alley abortions. There's always going to be people, if you got money, you're going to be able to find a way, like, hey, man, I got a cousin that used to do abortions, come to their house. People are not going to have a kid that they don't want to have. Trust and believe. They will find a way. And we're going to go back to what we were going through in the 60s and 70s, where girls, coat hangers, medicines,
abortions by Kiki. Just on Instagram.
Yes. If you think people are going to have a kid that they don't want to have, you are a fool. In Florida, if you don't think, it just amazes me that a lot of these same Republican white men that are so hell-bent on making this a thing, their mistresses have had abortions. Their daughters have had, let their daughter get pregnant by a black man or a Mexican, see how fast they are going to find a way for their kid to get an abortion. But the health aspect of this, if y'all don't want to vote, if you can't vote about anything else, please vote on this one topic. Imagine your sister passing away because she had to wait for some idiot politician for them to okay this. They have no business in your doctor's visits or in your body. Stay in Congress and out of women's vaginas and ovaries and fallopian tubes and uteruses. It's unbelievable. LaPoja said, I hope they're going to lower that $35,000 to adopt children then. They're not even taking care of the kids in foster care. And Siobhan Robinson said, women should protest and not give up the Tootsie Cat They put Tootsie Cat, period. I've been calling for a nationwide coochie strike until we get the laws that we want. I'm sorry. There's no motivation to have sex. And I'm 51. I'm in pre-menopause. I'm not in menopause yet. And they say you can still get pregnant now and you think you can't and you can't. Imagine if I did and I had a baby that was severely deformed and had some severe issues. That could actually be my reality right now if I was getting some. Okay.